In this interview here, Eddie Hearn is talking about the prospect of Danny Jacobs, the newly crowned IBF middleweight champion, taking on Canelo Alvarez in a unification potentially in May. This was an interview done before Jacobs' fight against, God, I always mispronounce this guy's name. I'm just going to call him Devonchenko for this video. All right, give me a bly. Excuse me, people. Just let me off this once. So that was made before that particular fight, this interview. Now that fight has happened, Jacobs is obviously the champion. What he said about Canelo still stands. Canelo has to get past Fielding. Most people expect him to. And then we may see Jacobs against Canelo in May. I think that would be a very, very good fight. I think that it would be an intense fight because Danny Jacobs comes across as a very nice guy outside the ring. He almost comes across like Will Smith to me. He don't just look a bit like Will Smith because of the ears. Even his demeanor and the way he talks is a bit like Will Smith. And so, to the uninitiated, you might think that this is someone who might be too nice in a boxing ring to maintain himself at the elite level over a long period of time. But nothing could be further from the truth. Danny Jacobs is a gentleman outside the ring, but inside the ring, he's a beast. Danny Jacobs is vicious in that ring. He is a fierce competitor. And this is something I was talking about with regards to Hughie Fury. I was saying that Hughie Fury in the ring is just a bit too nice. And I was talking to somebody on Facebook recently and they said, look, Hughie Fury has been raised in a boxing family and in a culture which has fighting as an integral part and bare knuckle fighting, etc. So he's been raised in that culture, but it's not really in him naturally as a person, if that makes sense. Because we're all raised in different cultures, right? But there might be elements of our culture which we don't really take to. And maybe other people in our family do, but we don't really take to it. And this person was saying that seems to be like Hughie Fury. That, yeah, he's been raised with fighting, so he does it. But it doesn't really seem to be in him the way it is in Tyson Fury. Okay? And with Danny Jacobs, don't let the nice guy outside the ring persona fool you. Inside the ring, he is a fighting man. He's a beast. He's got a fire inside of him. But that fire inside of him is a gift and a curse. It's a gift because when the going gets tough and you need to bite down on your gum shield and take the bull by the horns, like he did in the Golovkin fight, he can do it. He didn't get the decision that night, but he ran Golovkin very close, right? So when he needs to hang tough, bite down in his gum shield, and just lay it on the line in the pocket, he can do that. But at the same time, Danny Jacobs is a little too keen to do all the macho stuff, to exchange with people. And that will be to his detriment in some fights. Yeah, and it could be against Canelo that it will play into Canelo's hands. Danny Jacobs is a guy with height and reach, who can box, who can move, but he's such a macho guy in the ring that he feels the need to prove to his opponent that he can hurt the opponent. He feels like he wants to impose his will on the opponent so that the opponent knows, hey, I'm here and I'm the boss in this ring. This is what Danny Jacobs feels compelled to do when he's in a boxing ring. He's never just content to sit back and box and be slick. You know, even when boxing that way would probably be the best way in some fights. But he wants to get in there at some point during the fight. He wants to get in there and start swapping leather. And you saw it in the later rounds against Golovkin, because obviously he was boxing slick for long portions of that fight. But as the fight wore on, Jacobs just couldn't help himself. He wanted to exchange. He wanted to get in there and hurt Golovkin. You know, remember when he was banging himself on his chest and whatnot, when he caught Golovkin with a couple good shots, he was like, come on, let's go. That's who Danny Jacobs is. And against somebody like Canelo, who's got fast hands himself, a very good combination puncher himself, who I think is more accurate than Danny Jacobs in the pocket, that could go against Danny Jacobs if he decides to do that. And again, if you look at his track record, very fiery character, there are very few fights where Danny Jacobs doesn't want to get involved at some stage. So either way, I think it's going to be a fiery, entertaining fight, and I hope it does happen in May. But for some reason, I don't think it will. Why? Because Golden Boy and Eddie Hearn, yes, they're on the same platform, but they're rivals. And Eddie Hearn, in a different interview, has talked about rivalry being on the same network as different promoters, but having those promoters trying to block him on the same network. You know, he's talked about this before. And I think that is going to happen eventually with Golden Boy. But as I said in a previous video, why I think it's not going to happen in the short term is because I think DAZN are going to force Golden Boy and Matchroom to cooperate to a certain extent. Because right now, if Golden Boy and Matchroom are at odds with each other, that is going to hurt DAZN. So they want Matchroom and Golden Boy to be cooperating to a large extent at the moment. But as time goes on, I do expect a rivalry to develop. Now, be that as it may, even though I think DAZN are going to force cooperation and collaboration between Matchroom and Golden Boy, I still think that in these early stages, with Canelo being new to Golden Boy, I don't think they're going to put that much pressure on Canelo to have a unification with Jacobs. That's my feeling. I think that because the Jacobs fight is a really big fight, you know, Jacobs is a potential star in American boxing. He's great on television, speaks very well, charismatic guy. He's somebody who could have all kind of different endorsements. I would imagine that DAZN want to build Danny Jacobs up a bit more and build up the fight between Jacobs and Canelo a bit more before they put him in a ring together. So if they were to fight, I would suspect it would more likely be later on in 2019, maybe towards September rather than early in the year. But that's just my perception. I hope I'm wrong. I hope it happens in May rather than in September. We'll see. But like I say, if it does happen, I think it's going to be a hell of a fight. I think it's going to be intense, very watchable, and I look forward to it. Let me know in the comment section below who you would pick in that fight, Danny Jacobs or Canelo Alvarez. All right? Drop your comments below. It's Hatman, I'm out.
Join me on Patreon. I upload a minimum of 2 podcasts every single week, covering a wide variety of controversial topics, as well as live stream Q&A sessions. Take a look on screen right now at some of the podcasts I've produced so far. For just $3 a month, the equivalent of about £2 a month, you get access to all my new podcasts and my entire back catalogue of past podcasts, including my popular Confessions of a Nightclub Bouncer series. You can listen on your computer or on your smartphone or tablet by downloading the Patreon app from the Google Play Store or the App Store for free. The Patreon app also allows you to download each podcast in MP3. For less than the price of a cup of coffee, you get access to dozens of hours of exclusive content. It's easy to sign up, there's no contract, and you can cancel at any time. So come and join our community of free and critical thinkers by signing up with me here on Patreon today.